having bids. So we'll put it up for sale and welcome sealed bids, and then you'll get it. So we bid $3,000 for the schoolhouse, and somebody else offered them $8,000, but they wanted to put a factory in it, and we wanted to put our family in it. And they decided they didn't want a factory, they wanted a family. So we got it for $3,000, and we still owned the house in Orem, so Grandpa and Grandma, we found them this little house by the store, which some of you saw today. And so Grandpa and Grandma sold their house in Nampa, Idaho, and going to move to Wallsburg in that little house. But it wasn't really nice enough yet, so Dennis and I decided to remodel the little house. While we remodeled it, Grandpa and Grandma and Tim and Pam moved into the schoolhouse. And it had bushels of dead wasps. Its toilets were full of rocks and stuff. And Grandpa Higginson cleaned out the toilets with rocks and stuff, and Tim and Tam helped Grandpa clean up all the wasps and the broken glass and bird poop, and they lived there until it was too cold to live there. And by that time, Dennis and I had finished remodeling the little house, and it was really a cute little place. And so Grandpa and Grandma and Tim and Pam moved into the little house, and we moved. I hired a guy to put in all new windows where they were broken. I taught school with him, and he was a professional glazer too. And so then we moved our family into the schoolhouse, and we started out in the upstairs room where the old hot lunch kitchen was. And later, Uncle Dennis and I built a new kitchen downstairs, and we had the grandest 9 years living in that schoolhouse you can imagine. Our kids had a gymnasium with a basket at each end, and what they did in that gymnasium was everything they could think of.
We had a stage.
Skateboards and
we had a stage.
We had a stage. One time, the kids, Uncle John Yeager from Seattle, who is a magician, came to town to visit us, and so we invited the whole Wallsburg ward to our gymnasium, and he put on a magic show for the ward for family home evening. And
we had everybody bring chairs and cookies.
they brought their own chairs and cookies. It was a great night. And I'll just tell you one more quick story, which was fun. I became the bishop. And the old bishop had served for 14 and a half years, if you can imagine. Because they didn't have anybody to replace him with, but we moved in, and they decided to call me, and so I became the bishop. And one time, Aunt Karen and I went to eat at a little restaurant in Charleston, and one of our less active families was there also having dinner. And they were so self-conscious because they were drinking beer. And they got louder and louder the more beer they drank. And pretty soon they were talking in a loud voice about Bish. That was me. I was Bish. Anyway, that was just a funny little. There were quite a few less active people in the valley, but we had a really good ward, and I was ordained a high priest and ordained a bishop by Elder Ezra Taft Benson, who owned property over at Midway, and the stake president arranged for him to ordain 3 new bishops in the stake, and I was one of them. And he promised me when he ordained me a bishop that I would love the members of my ward, and that the members of my ward would love me. And I almost couldn't imagine that. But it came true in the end. The people here are really old pioneer stock, and there was lots of marriages inside the valley. If you couldn't find somebody that wasn't related to you. You married your cousin. Anyway, to the Springs Valley.
Funny comment here.
Moved in now, especially rich people that move in. Some of the houses you saw as you came in, if they put them up for sale, they would be way over $1 million. In fact, the horse ranch that you passed when you came up here sold for many millions of dollars. I can't even remember how much. How many?
I don't know. I was just going to say,
The price of the schoolhouse.
we bought the schoolhouse for $3,000 and it's for sale right now for over $800,000.
And it's a mess. Yeah. Anyway, I just want you to know that before I was released as bishop, I loved the members of this ward truly with all my heart, and we were loved. And when we moved to Missouri so that we could have farmland, most of the uncles moved to Missouri. And there's still relatives in Missouri. How many of you still live in Missouri? Raise your hands. Where's Leah? Oh, well. If you've ever lived in Missouri, raise your hand. Yeah, look there. If you've ever lived in Missouri, look at that.
I'm getting like all these texts from you right now.
Anyway,
Yeah.
they really hated for us to move away, and we didn't just leave the schoolhouse. We left that whole mountainside over there that they still call, many of them still call it Higginson Hill over there where the houses were built. And so this is really kind of home to us. Nobody lives here, but it's kind of home to us. And that's about all I can.
That's awesome.